Hey guys, it's Rachel from Hope Corner Farm. By day, I'm a home ec teacher who teaches hundreds of students how to crochet, quilt, sew, and cook. And today I'm going to teach you how to complete the yarn over slip stitch. This is also known as a half double crochet slip stitch, and it creates this beautiful textured detail to your fabric that you create when you're crocheting. I don't know if you can see this through the video, but it's just beautiful, and it's the same on both sides. If you can half double crochet, if you can chain, literally you can yarn over slip stitch or half double crochet slip stitch. So if you are ready to learn this crochet stitch, let's grab a hook and some yarn and we'll get crocheting. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe to my channel, hit the bell so you get notifications of when I post new videos, and don't forget to give me some feedback on this video. Give me a like or a comment, let me know what I did well or things that I could improve upon. Now for the yarn over slip stitch, we're going to need to grab a crochet hook and some yarn. So I'm just using a J crochet hook for this tutorial as well as some medium weight yarn. Grab whatever you're comfortable with. Now we're going to start by chaining 8. Now, the nice thing about the yarn over slip stitch is there are no multiples to the stitch, meaning you can literally chain or stitch as many as you would like for your project. So that makes it a nice flexible stitch. Now, the other thing, if you need to see how to chain in slower, more detailed moves, I'm going to include a link to a video below that takes it a lot slower and in more detailed moves if you are struggling with how to chain. So I'm going to start by chaining 8. So there are 8 chains. Now we're ready to go into our first row of yarn over slip stitches. For the first row of yarn over slip stitches, we're going to work into the second chain from the hook. So not this one, but this one. So if you pull them tight, you can see they kind of look like V's. We're going to work into the second V. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to insert my hook into that chain. I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to pull through that chain. Now I've got 3 loops on the hook, but instead of doing another yarn over, I'm just going to continue pulling that first loop through the other 2 loops, and that completes 1 yarn over slip stitch. Let's look at that again. Yarn over, into the stitch, yarn over, pull through the stitch, and then keep on pulling through the last 2 loops. And that completes the second. Yarn over into the chain, yarn over, pull through the chain. Then again, I'm going to take this first loop right here and I'm going to pull it through these 2 loops. So I'm just going to keep on pulling. One thing I want to point out is how my hook rotates when I go to slip stitch through those other 2 loops. Notice I rotate it down so it goes more easily through those 2 loops. So yarn over, into the chain, yarn over, pull through the chain, continue pulling through the 2 loops. I'm going to hurry to the end here and then I'll show you what a second row of yarn over slip stitches look like. So there is a completed row, or a first row, I guess I should say, of yarn over slip stitches. Now to count these, if you look at the top, each V counts as 1 stitch. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is perfect because by going into that second chain from the hook, I did lose 1. I started with 8 chains. That takes me down to 7 yarn over slip stitches. Now let's go on to a second row. To start a second row of yarn over slip stitches, I would begin by chaining 1 and turning. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to go into this very first stitch here, this space right here. Hopefully you can see that. I'm going to insert my hook, I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to pull through that stitch, and then I'm going to rotate my hook down and keep pulling through those 2 loops. Now one thing, don't let those loops get too tight on your hook, otherwise you might have to wiggle your hook. I don't know if you saw me have to do that. It makes it a little easier if you keep these loops just a hair loose. Now we're ready for a second one. Yarn over, insert into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through that stitch, and then keep pulling through those 2 loops. Yarn over into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through the stitch, and then keep pulling through both of those loops. Oh, see what I mean? If you let those loops get too tight, then it gets a little hard for that hook to get through. So tension is kind of key here. So yarn over into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through that stitch, yarn over, pull through both. I'm going to hurry to the end here so I can kind of show you what this is starting to look like. and explain a couple of things here. So let me get to this very last stitch. So we're going right here. It's kind of a little bit harder to see this last stitch here, but we're going, if you move your hook around right there, you can see it. And then if you look at the end, you know you're in the right spot if you have 2 legs of that stitch on your hook. Yarn over, pull through both. So here's a second row of yarn over slip stitches. Now, one thing I want you to notice is that the tops of those stitches are actually kind of bent backwards. So if you actually look at the top, it doesn't look like a normal set of crochet stitches. In fact, your next row is going to be worked into these V's that are right here facing forward at the moment. So just kind of keep that in mind there. Now for any additional rows, I would chain 1, turn, and then again, one thing I want to point out, notice these little bumps back here, and that's kind of the fun decorative detail that you get with the yarn over slip stitch, but again, that's not what you're going to work your stitch into. If you slightly turn it, there you can see the tops of those V's that you would work that stitch actually into. So by doing that, this is kind of the texture that you're going to get for your project, which is kind of fun. I love how this stitch looks. And the nice thing about it, it looks the same on both sides, so you don't have to worry about having a right or a wrong side to your project. So again, I've chained 1 and I've turned. I would yarn over, I would insert into this space right here. So above this big bar thing, we're going right here. Yarn over, pull through that stitch, keep pulling through those 2 loops. Yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, and then keep pulling through those 2 loops. And that's the yarn over slip stitch, or the half double crochet slip stitch. Ooh, that was a mouthful. So a half double crochet slip stitch. I hope you guys found this tutorial helpful. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, hit the bell so you get notifications of when I post new videos, and give me a like or a comment on this thing. And I hope you guys have a blessed day.